Hi, everybody. It's Kathy from Plan for Wellness. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about when your loved one is coughing when they drink. So I hear a lot of people talk about that. A lot of people either go to social media forums or they mention to me in passing that their loved one is having some coughing when they drink. So I'm going to take a sip. There's hardly anything in here and kind of like demonstrate. So that's mild. It could be like a full on, like almost feeling like they're choking. Or sometimes people aren't doing that at all, but then they tell me once in a while my loved one coughs, but they've had pneumonia like 2 or 3 times this year. And so that's concerning to me if they have any neurological deficits whatsoever. So if they've had a stroke, if they have dementia, if they have Parkinson's, if they have multiple sclerosis, you're following me here, right? Like if there's something going on that can be impacting your nerves and your brain and you're coughing when you drink, then you could potentially be developing, or your loved one developing, aspiration pneumonia. And when they say silent aspiration, it means that you're not coughing because your lungs aren't even like shocked that the water is going in there. It's just going in the wrong spot, and then you're developing pneumonia. So the whole thing is still the same thing. Aspiration is the fluid is getting down into your lungs instead of down into your stomach. And silent aspiration means that you're not overtly coughing or showing symptoms of the fact that you're aspirating. It's just happening. Okay. So I thought that was really important to put out there because a lot of people don't know. Like they just figure, it went down the wrong way. And it happens. It happens to me all the time. I'm a cancer survivor. I had radiation to my throat for a month. And so once in a while, I can choke on my own spit, just swallow funny and be like, but it's few and far between. It's intermittent. It's not happening every time I take a drink. It's rare. And the people who are having aspiration pneumonia, aspiration that's developing into pneumonia, they're having it happen a lot more consistently. So I wanted to show you kind of like what that looks like. I'm going to share my screen here. I found this picture on it was one of those free sites that that have pictures like iPhoto or something. But so now this is a picture. It says it's for dysphagia, and dysphagia is a medical term for like not swallowing well, for having some dysfunction in that. And so I'm going to put on my glasses so I can see the picture a little bit better. If you can look here, you have 2 tubes in your throat. The front one is for air, that's your trachea, and the one behind it is for food and goes to your stomach, and that's your esophagus. And right here, there's this little word epiglottis, and that is this little muscle flap. It's not really a muscle flap, it's more cartilagey, I guess, soft tissue and cartilage kind of mixed together. I actually had to message a speech therapy friend of mine because I saw a more anatomical picture of it, and I thought I had to send it to her and be like, "Oh my god, it looks like an alien," because it kind of like closes like a hatch door almost. Where I always kind of thought that it would just kind of flopped down and kind of covered. It actually kind of comes over and like seals. So I'm not a speech language pathologist. I just hang out with really cool ones. But as an occupational therapist, sometimes this falls on us too, because sometimes we're available more than a speech therapist might be. And we need to understand what's going on. And all of us in healthcare and all of us that are caregivers and loving someone who may have a neurological issue really needs to know what's happening here. So when you drink and you take it for granted, like anytime you're eating or drinking, what happens is you get your food to the back of your mouth, your tongue, like, your teeth and your tongue does its job. Your saliva starts to break down that food as the first line of digestion. that chewing and saliva starts to break it down before your stomach has to do anything. And then your mouth, your tongue brings it to the back of your mouth and you actually swallow. So as it's coming down, the way that it doesn't end up in your stomach is because the way it doesn't end up in your lungs, excuse me, is because your epiglottis protects you and comes over your airway, and to allow that food and drink to skim right over it and down into your esophagus and into your stomach. So in this picture, the green is supposed to be the food, and the orange and yellow thing is your epiglottis that is sealing off your airway, your trachea. And then over on this one, it's not closed tight down here, and some food is seeping in and going down into the trachea. So I'm not going to go in depth about different food textures. I'm not even going to go in depth about different liquid textures, because I really think that's a speech therapist's specialty, and I'm not trying to steal their thunder. But being that I have Plan for Wellness and I am trying to educate everyone to be the best they can be in taking care of themselves, setting themselves up for a successful aging in place, and taking care of their loved ones who are aging before them, I thought it was very important to kind of touch base on that fact, because sometimes people just have like some dental issues, something's going on that, you know, even with dementia or just old age, sometimes just the amount of chewing and swallowing involved in some foods is exhausting. So they stop, you know, they don't want to have that piece of steak anymore that they might have liked when they were in their 60s. Now they're like 80, 90, and they're like, and they want softer foods and something that's just easier for them to manage. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are times that their food, like they just can't neurologically make that happen, that chewing, that moving the food around the mouth, that moving the tongue around and getting the food where it needs to be isn't happening. So a speech language pathologist will do a video fluoroscopy, which is like a moving x-ray type of thing, where they can actually see how you're chewing, how you're swallowing, where is it all going, how's it, you know, how's the whole process going, and they can then report back to you and the doctor as to what type of diet anybody needs to be on. We could talk about that on another video, or we can even on the podcast have a speech therapist on to discuss that a little bit more, which I think would be really, really interesting. So so look out for that. But I just wanted to really put it out there sooner than later, so that the information was out there, that if your loved one is coughing when they're drinking and it's pretty consistent, it's not a rare occurrence, then you really need to call the doctor and say, my loved one is coughing when they drink regularly, and either they've already had pneumonia or you're afraid of pneumonia. Can I get a referral to a speech language pathologist and a video fluoroscopy? And I don't know a doctor in the world who would not necessarily say no. Okay, so I hope that helps a little bit. I'll be seeing you around again, and you have a wonderful day. Love you guys. Bye.